Greetings, everyone, and welcome to the GameCola Podcast. This is podcast number 52. With me today are Paul Franzen, Christian Porter, Matt Jonas, and special guest star Brian Spaeth, author and writer and former proprietor of Turtlecalls. Everyone introduce yourselves.
Hello, everyone. I'm Paul Franzen. I'm GameCola's editor-in-chief.
Hi, I'm Christian Porter, and I write things on GameCola with words.
Hi, I'm Matt Jonas. You probably know who I am. I contribute everything to GameCola.
And I'm Brian Spaeth. I'm a writer and an author and the former proprietor of Turtlecalls.
Very, very, very sad to hear that former there, I'm going to be honest.
Well, it's not totally dead. I mean, have you guys seen the new version of it?
I have seen the new Turtlecalls, yes. Oh, please talk about it.
Yeah, well, I mean, we overhauled it, so it's for little kids now. And it's we use it to do like alphabet stuff and like counting to 10 and like letters and numbers, because what Turtlecalls was it was for $2 via PayPal. I would call anyone you wanted and pretend to be a turtle for up to 2 minutes. The best of these calls were then put online for the enjoyment of the world, and I started in December of 2010 kind of as a joke. Literally, I put the website up in about 10 minutes. And went out that night just so I could tell girls that's what I did for a living. And so I tweeted it out once, and I ended up selling one. So I'm like, well, I guess I'd really like to keep that $2, so I better make this call. And it was actually really funny, and that actually became the first one, which is Turtlecalls number 1, Jeremy in Alaska. And there it just, I kept selling more and more and more. And then, do you guys know who Jenna Marbles is?
I've heard of her.
Yeah, she's a big YouTuber. Well, this was before she'd really blown up, but she linked it in like March 2011, and it just blew up, like totally big from there. And I mean, I think I sold like $6,000 worth in like or something. It was yeah. Now I had levels. Once it started to go, I had levels, because like I had a $2 call, which meant I would call once, and if I didn't get through, I'd leave a voicemail. At $10, I would try 3 times, and if I never got through, you could replace them with somebody else. And I sold a lot of those.
That's what I was wondering. I was wondering if people actually went for those higher tiers. Wow, that's cool.
And then for $20, I would sell a scheduled call. That's like, for birthdays, or if you just wanted to make sure you were there or whatever. And I sold a lot of those too. And then I had the top level was the on-demand turtle call, which is you just email me and be like, do it right now. And that was just like, make me an offer. And I sold one of those for $200 once.
Wow.
Wow. I'm clearly in the wrong business.
Yeah.
It was somebody in England, and they were at a birthday party, and they were really drunk, and they paid $200.
Wow.
And the person I talked to was so wasted. They had no idea what was going on. I basically talked to like 10 people who were all drunk. And I mean, it lasted like 45 seconds, and it was a very good hourly rate. So anyway, I'd been doing it for a long time, and I was just sick of it. I was tired of it, but I really loved the character, and so I was going to try and take it some kind of direction where I was talking to some cartoonists about just giving the turtle a face, because I saw what was happening with like Annoying Orange and stuff like that, and I'm like, I could really take this that direction. And I met with my friend Craig, and he suggested doing something for kids. He's got a 2-year-old little boy, and he sits there, and the kid wants to watch videos over and over and over and over. And I said, yeah.
That is my life.
So yeah, so I looked at some of this stuff, and I have nieces and nephews, so I'm fairly aware of it. But man, some of these videos have like 100 million views.
Oh yeah.
I'm like, yeah, that seems like an easier path, and I think the character works for that too. So that's what we did. We got an animator and put these things together. Craig voices the elephant, and that's what we did. So and it's going pretty well so far. We just launched it last week, or 2 weeks ago.
And that's still at turtlecalls.com, is that true?
Yes, it is. It's still there.
Yeah. Cool.
Interesting.
So that's the Turtlecalls saga.
An epic tale.
It is. It's a little sad. It's nice. It was a good run.
I will miss the classic Turtlecall, but the archive is still available on the YouTube channel. Is that correct? Also.
Yeah, it's still there,
yes,
and it's
cool.
Website too. So, all still there. So.
And of course, if anyone listened to the end of the previous podcast, they would have heard a turtle call with our own Mike Ridgaway. I didn't see anyone commenting on it, so I'm guessing nobody caught that. So go back; it's there.
I always wonder if people listen to the stuff that I put at the end, because there is something at the end of every single podcast.
I'm gonna say that proves no one does, because I feel like someone would have mentioned it.
Yeah.
If like, oh, by the way, that part where Mike got a call from a turtle, that was pretty cool, you know.
Yeah. Like,
what do you do? Put something like eclectic at the end, just kind of something weird?
yeah, well, usually it's stuff that was edited out of the podcast that was still like worth mentioning, or sometimes we'll have like said something in the podcast that brought up another idea, and I'll pull out like a Sonic Says clip or something.
I remember that.
Yeah. But like, I don't think anyone has ever actually mentioned something that came at the end of a podcast.
Oh, well, now they know. Now they know.
Yeah.
We're gonna have people going back and checking each episode, I bet.
Yeah.
Maybe. Anyway,
That's where the hidden gold is. So when do we start talking about video games?
we can start right now.
Yeah.
What do you know about video games?
I forgot to think about what the last one I played was, but do you count all like do you count stuff like Angry Birds as video games or no?
Sure.
Do we?
No.
I'd say so.
I mean, people review mobile games
Yeah.
on our site, I guess.
I think that's a legit video game.
All right. I think the Temple Run file. But like traditional console games, I honestly don't remember. I owned a PlayStation 2. That was the last thing I owned.
Well, that's not too bad. That's just last gen. That's fine.
Well, so
Yeah.
And actually, isn't that also true for you, Jetty?
yeah. No, I have the Xbox 360 now that I'm developing, although I don't own a single game for it.
Yeah. GameCola has a very eclectic taste in general. We talk a lot about very strange games, but we also talk a lot about retro games. We're probably the only website in 2012 that's actively reviewing Super Nintendo games and Sega Genesis games, for good or for worse.
I never really thought about that. Like, to me, that's still like, those are video games. So.
I mean, that's why we go in that direction, because I mean, these are still very legitimate titles that you can seek out and play. It's just they're not the newest, fanciest games. Personally, I think it's kind of interesting to give a more modern perspective on these games. Like, is it still fun to play after you've played all of the other games that have come out since then?
Obviously, your general take on that is yes, right? Or else
Yes.
Usually.
Otherwise, it would just be a string of "this game sucks" reviews.
it'd be the most
Mario 1, who wants to play that?
I mean, I personally, I think with all the apps and the games that are, on the iPad and the iPhone and all that stuff, I mean, it's the simplicity of it all is obviously still really appealing. So, I mean,
Yeah, I mean, that's something that's kind of been lost in more recent generations with the bigger console titles anyway, excluding downloadables, is simplicity, is shorter games. I mean, every game now has to be 30, 40 hours or else people are going to feel ripped off.
Well, I mean, from a business perspective, probably trying to get a title, from development to the shelf costs so much that putting out something that no one's going to pay $60 for an hour-long game. Somebody might pay 10 or 20, but trying to get that game to the shelf in the stores, you wouldn't be making any money off of it. So
I think it's kind of interesting that iOS is kind of filling that niche of the shorter games that have gameplay reminiscent of what we were all accustomed to in the 80s and 90s, and for $1 each, not bad.
that was my heyday. Paul, I think I talked to you about my
Yes.
I have an older brother, and we came of age in the 80s and 90s, and he was a Nintendo guy, and I was determined I wanted something different, and so I decided that I was going to be a Sega kid. I had a Sega Master System to counter his I guess it was the first Nintendo. What was the first Nintendo called?
Yeah, the NES, the Nintendo Entertainment System. Yeah.
Yeah, and I desperately tried to convince myself that Alex Kidd in Miracle World was as good as Super Mario Brothers.
I'll be honest, that's a tough sell.
That must have been hard.
But I was determined. But and I knew it, but I stuck to my guns throughout. I was just like, yes, Master System. I don't remember one other game I played on it. But the thing about Sega back then is they were always ahead of Nintendo as far as the power. The Sega Genesis came out before the Super Nintendo. So once the Genesis came out, because I was a Sega loyalist, I got that. And all of a sudden I had games like Altered Beast, which was it was so much better than, like, say, Urban Champion, right?
Yeah.
So that was like, I was one up on my brother for a little bit, but then the Super Nintendo.
For like 6 months, and then. No.
Yeah. The Super Nintendo came, I broke. I was like, Mommy, get me a Super Nintendo too. I don't want this Genesis
I virtually ignored Sega until it was not really reasonable for me to be playing a Sega Genesis anymore. The only game I ever really played when it was new was Toe Jam and Earl. Big fan of that. Played with my brother like every weekend.
Yep.
Only beat it for the first time a few years ago, but
Really?
yes, it's a tough game.
I used to be horribly jealous of my brother because they had like Nintendo Power magazine, and like when he wasn't home, I would sneak into his room and read it, and like I'd just be like, why does this Sega have a magazine? But the best part about that whole thing is our sister had a TurboGrafx 16.
Oh wow.
Which
representing the whole spectrum.
we had them all. So
that is a mixed family.
Yeah, we had a lot of, we were very happy though. We were. So that's my experience with that era. I think, what's the other good Genesis game? I think Rampage. Is that the one with the monsters?
Yeah. Climbing the buildings, punching the buildings, etc. Yeah.
But other than that, man, it just wasn't that good. I think I used to play something called Populous.
Yeah.
After school. I really liked that, but I don't remember much else. But yeah, once I got that Super Nintendo, I got all into the sports games and stuff, and it was just better. So that's my history. That's it.
And then it's just been cell phone games since then.
Yep, pretty much. My brother did are we allowed to talk about your competitors? My brother did. He I don't know if he still does it or not actually, but he did a video game podcast with another game site for a long time.
There are other video game podcasts?
So, I say
buy it.
It's called GameCritics.com.
GameCritics.com.
I think that's a website. I think I've heard of that.
Yeah, I don't know. I just know he did this podcast for him.
I know they don't talk about Phoenix Wright, so I don't really read them too often.
Or
beards.
Or tea.
You guys should have him on. He loves his beard.
Really? Because we're pretty much this is the number one source for beards in gaming, I think is a reasonable thing to say.
Yeah.
You guys all have beards?
Well, we actually fire people if we learn that they don't have beards, so it's kind of a don't ask, don't tell policy.
Don't let him know I don't have a beard.
Yeah, I'm looking at you right now. Which one of you is the one with the pointing the gun at the?
Hey.
You don't have a beard, and you're just a cartoon.
But his cartoon has a beard.
It has a beard.
Oh yeah, it does.
Yeah.
All right, I apologize.
That is a cartoon of me, and I have a beard.
Oh, is it? Why did you have
Yes,
a cartoon of you?
My friend made a comic of me.
Really?
Yeah, that really is a picture of me.
No, I believe you. You look very cool. Are you always on the phone?
Not always. In fact, very rarely. But in the comic, I was on the phone with him.
Was it a comic strip or like a whole comic book?
It was just a single strip. It was basically the entire point of the comic was just that I look a lot like Tyler Labine, the guy who played Jimmy in Breaker High. And he's on some shows now, too, but I don't know. He was on Reaper as well.
Oh, okay. All right.
That was it.
And obviously you appreciated it. That's good.
Yeah.
Hey, can I ask you guys? Every time I've done a podcast, I always end up asking the podcasters a bunch of questions. Can I ask you guys some questions?
Please go right ahead.
Fire away.
We don't have much of an agenda, so go right ahead.
Yeah.
I've tried to start 2 podcasts in my life, both this year. Okay.
Okay.
The first one was with a friend of mine named Robert Carroll, and it was about the TV show Girls on HBO. We did a girls podcast, and we were determined to keep it short. So like we would cut ourselves off at like 12 minutes. We were like, that's it. We're gonna keep this short. Because personally, I don't listen to a lot of podcasts because I work from home, so I don't drive a lot, and I can't listen while I'm like writing. So like it's just hard for me.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I want a podcast that is out in like 12 minutes, because I can handle that. So we did that, but then and we liked it. We put them on YouTube and we put them on iTunes. Now we had 2 problems. One, after 6 episodes of the show, we both hated it so much, like not our podcast, but the television show. We couldn't. All we did was bitch about it, and it was just so we had to quit. The other problem we had is we did ours through this service called Lisbon. Are you guys familiar with that? Lisbon? I don't know. To get it on iTunes.
I've heard of that word in context of a podcast, but that's about it.
Yeah, like Liberated syndication.
Yeah.
Anyway, but so our download stats though, it was like we saw one episode was downloaded like 900 times. I'm like, wow, that's great. Well, 650 of them were from India, and we're like, well, something about this isn't right. So that was very distressing because we thought we were doing really well, but we weren't getting as much feedback as we thought we should be getting for 950 listeners, right? So
right.
Do you guys have any insight into that?
Paul?
Oh, you're the podcast guy, right?
Oh, am I? Well, but I don't really pay, you're the one who puts stuff on iTunes, aren't you?
The website actually does that automatically for us. Our web guy, Kevin, set up a fancy little system where we just have to upload the podcast to the server and make a post on the podcast section of our website, and it goes out to iTunes that way. I have no idea what kind of wizardry he had to pull to make that happen.
Technology.
But actually, I did notice something similar on our Facebook fan page. We have something like 2,000 fans on there, but when you look at the post, it tells you how many people this post reached, and it's like, this post reached 100 people.
Yeah.
That's not. And also, a lot of them are from foreign countries and almost definitely cannot read a word of the things that we write, which is interesting. Oh, maybe I'm being a little too xenophobic there.
Maybe. Well, no, maybe they were trying to like the other GameCola, one from China.
Wait, which other GameCola? I think I've seen a couple of them there. The Japanese Flash game website, GameCola.com.
Is that what it was? I thought there was a Chinese.
Well, there was
GameCola.
There was a GameCola company out of Asia, so maybe they think oh, it's my work. I believe I'll follow my work on Facebook.
Yeah.
My bosses talk about Phoenix Wright more than I thought they would.
Yeah.
Guys, why don't you start keeping content to that audience?
The guy who registered GameCola.com 10 years after we registered GameCola.net had the audacity to add me as a friend on LinkedIn.
Of yours.
Wow.
I did not accept it, and I'll admit that I had a small amount of joy at the fact that he only had 2 friends.
Aw. Wow.
I've actually been tempted to go to their site and comment on the games this game sucks. But then I thought it would make them think people are actually going to their site. So I'd rather to endure the crushing defeat of complete emptiness.
What are they? Game manufacturers?
I kind of wish we had been able to lock down that domain at some point. I probably mentioned this before. The reason we are at .net in the first place is because we came up with the GameCola name a year before we had any domain. And then when I went to register, there was already a .com, so we took the .net. And periodically since then, I've tried to look into the .com. We've gotten emails from the current owner at the time saying, well, we'd be happy to sell this to you for $3,000. I'm like, wow, that is over 3,000 times our budget. So that's probably not going to work out too well. I'm like, I can pay you $50. How about that?
Yeah. I had it's only this year it's only this year I got brianspaeth.com. Somebody had it for 6 years. And it was horrible. Suddenly it was available this year. I was so happy.
I have the incredibly bad luck of sharing a name with a professional bodybuilder, up-and-coming country musician, and I believe a basketball player. So I'm never getting my vanity domain ever.
No, you're probably not.
I believe PaulFranzen.com is owned by some sort of political ranter. And there's also some kind of financial analysis that's always screwing up my Google alerts for my name. Of course, I have one of those. I get emails about him constantly.
Have you guys ever searched out people who share your name and talk to them?
Yeah, I've done that a couple of times. There's a dude who's a photographer here in the UK who shares my name as well, which is kind of worrying.
Actually, if I remember correctly, my name is Alex Jedraszczak. I don't really think, I wouldn't imagine that other people have this name, but apparently there are 1 or 2. Also,
And have you contacted them?
I haven't, but I also imagine that they speak Polish, so.
Oh, that's true. Do you own your .com?
I don't, but I guess I probably should get on that.
You should get it before one of those other 2 jerks get it.
I know.
Sell it to them for $3,000.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or perhaps you can sell it to them for $3,000.
Yeah.
I've actually had an issue with there is apparently a student named Christian Porter at, I don't exactly know what school, but they continually email me and add me to their Google documents and tell me, hey, make sure you edit the newspaper this week for the school.
Oh, yeah, I remember hearing about this.
So, of course, I do. And they really hate what I put in their newspaper, because it's terrible and mean.
Wow.
And I guess the guy like emailed me one time. He's like, "You trying to get me in trouble, big dog? What's your problem?" And I was like, "I have told you and your friends like 12 times to please stop emailing me. I figured this would be a good way to get their attention, but it's not because they still send me invites."
Wow.
I had this. My email is bspaeth@gmail.com, so I'm constantly getting emails for people. Brittany Spaeth, Bridget Spaeth, Bruce Spaeth. These people just assume that they have that. Maybe they have bspaeth@yahoo.com. Who knows? But I get a lot of emails for bspaeth that aren't for me.
Yeah.
And I got this one once. It was for this. It was to me and like I don't know a bunch of other people. And it was whatever bspaeth this was. He was on this board of directors for this dog show in I don't know where it was. But I just went ahead and started answering them. And it was I wrote about it on my blog. I'll have to find it, maybe send it to you guys. But it was so funny because they were like, well, wait, what are you talking about? Because I would write these really like the initial question was something like, do we want hamburgers or muffins or something? It was some simple question. And I wrote like this 3-paragraph response and like I would take other people from the email thread, like if their full names were there, I'd be like, Janet, I have an issue with you about, the revenue from last year. Like all like this long ass thing with all these like just bizarre things. And so all these people are responding and like it was just so confusing. I love the best.
Wow.
And now I feel I'm missing out by not having locked down Franzen at Gmail when I had the chance.
I know.
The stuff.
I even I don't know if you guys remember when Gmail was first starting. It had beta codes that you needed to access to create an account. You had to get one from someone who already had an account.
Yeah.
And I won a contest on Game FAQs to get one. So I was one of the first like few thousand people to have a Gmail, and I completely blew it.
Yeah.
Because
What'd you get?
well, my username on Game FAQs was El Pupitre, which is Spanish for the student desk.
Yeah.
So I smartly locked down that pupitre at gmail.com before anyone else had a shot at it.
Yeah.
Well, let me ask you this. Why didn't you just use one of the Gmail invites to invite yourself to another account?
I was not a smart high schooler, I'll be honest.
Oh, all right.
I think I just gave it to a friend. It did not even occur to me that like that's what the big deal was, that people were trying to lock down the good email addresses while they were still available. Yeah. I was just like, oh, cool, Gmail. This is so much more interesting than Yahoo. Let's do this.
Yeah. That's you remember when they made, this was only a couple years ago, but when they made, no, it must have been more than a couple years, but when they made you where you could get your custom URL for Facebook.
Yes.
And it was like it was the gates were opened at like 9 p.m. on a certain night or something, and like I sat there and just refreshed the screen so I could get in because there's 11 other Brian Spaeths and I'm friends with like 6 of them on Facebook, and I knew they were going to be going for it, so like I was all over that. Yeah. Thank you.
So video games.
Wait, what? Yeah. Video games.
It's a thing, right?
Are they?
Brian, have you figured out what the last video game you played is yet, or was it Angry Birds?
I mean, that is no. The last game I played, actually, I got that Amazing Alex, the new one from the Angry Birds people.
Okay.
That was the last one I played. But the last traditional like console game or computer game, oh man, I honestly don't know. I have no idea. It was probably like I might have tried like NBA Jam when it came to one of those systems one night at somebody's house, but my PlayStation 2, I don't have it anymore, so it wouldn't have been anything I would have played here. I just don't know. I have no idea. If
you're a fan of basketball games, are you aware there's a game coming out for the Kinect that is packaged with an actual real life basketball that you dribble in front of your television?
Are you serious?
That is a thing that's coming out. Does anyone remember? I think we talked about it on the site. I don't remember what it was called exactly, but it is a rhythm based game. It's like DDR but with a basketball.
I remember.
Oh my god! Why haven't I heard of this?
I remember seeing the review and reading about it and thinking like, is this real? Like,
it seems like it'd be destructive and drive people crazy, like in other rooms of the house.
Yeah. Well, I'm very upset that I will not be able to purchase this game until at least I move to a different apartment because I'm on the second floor and I could not do that to someone.
Yeah.
I feel bad enough playing like Rock Band.
I was just gonna say, also, can you imagine people getting upset and throwing their controller at the screen? Like,
Yeah. I mean, people had that much trouble with the Wiimotes.
Yeah.
It's going to be pandemonium.
Yeah.
There we go. It's called NBA Baller Beats, coming out
I've
this
heard of
year,
that.
I guess, for the Kinect.
Wow.
Motion gaming, the way of the
Check
future.
out. Hey, so your neighbor downstairs, though, this is why I ruin everyone's podcast, because I start asking stuff like this. Do you know your neighbor downstairs?
I do, actually. He's my landlord.
Oh, he is. I
Yeah.
mean, was he nice?
Hey, he's actually pretty cool. He's only a few years older than me. Very,
Oh,
very
that's cool.
nice dude. Clears our driveway when there's snow, stuff like that.
If you were to get the basketball game and start playing it on a regular basis, what would he do? What do you think?
I think he would get annoyed, and I think he would actually just tell me to knock it off. He's pretty good about that. He's not the type to leave a note or just kind of stew, which is a shame because I certainly am that type of person.
You are.
I would absolutely.
What's the last thing you stewed over?
Oh, nothing recently. I mean, we've had very good luck with roommates. I had some pretty awful ones in college. Let's see, there was the one who just kind of threw up all over himself and went to sleep in it. The one who peed himself, didn't notice. The one who was giving his girlfriend foot baths. Quite a few, and I've never been the sort of person who can say, hey, can you put your girlfriend's feet away, please? That would be nice. Oh, and the first night in that apartment, I'll be quick about this. My very first night there, they were friends. They'd known each other coming in. I had never met them before in my life. They were out partying. I had already gone to sleep. When they came in, they very loudly, so it woke me up. They started having a loudly whispered conversation about how hilarious it would be if they both climbed up to my loft and whipped out their little roommates. Welcome to the dorms.
Do you think that would have been totally hilarious?
I think I would have been very upset, actually. Had it come to fruition.
I'm disappointed that scenario wasn't included in Life in the Dorms.
Yeah.
Well,
There is the possibility of DLC.
Brian, that's a video game I'm working on for Xbox Live Indie Games, coming out soon, hopefully.
So my other podcast, tell me if you guys think this is a good idea. It's with my friend Adam, and basically I just call, because I get up super early. I get up at like 5 in the morning, and he doesn't get up until like 8. So I call him at like 7:30 and wake him up. And he never knows which days I'm going to do it on, and then we just talk for like 15 minutes about whatever. And that's it.
That would be an amazing podcast.
It does sound pretty good.
Well, we did it yesterday morning, yesterday morning, and that's when I discovered my call. We did one like a week ago, and it worked, and we thought it was good, and I'm like, all right, let's keep doing this. So we did it this morning, and that's when I discovered call recorder didn't work, but I didn't discover it till after, and it was the best call. It was exactly what I wanted. We talked about the first time I went to Subway and all this other stuff, and because he's like really delirious in the morning, like he's just not with it, and so it's funny overall, but I don't know. So I really want a podcast. I just got to find a way to make it work.
I would definitely recommend Callgraph. I mean, it shows you if it's recording or not too, which is nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like it just says recording in progress, and it shows you whether voice is coming through both the microphone and the speaker, which is handy.
All right, I'll check it out.
Yep.
Thank you. Hey, since I don't know anything about video games, can we talk about Dark Knight Rises?
The video game or the movie?
The movie.
Oh, I was like, actually, I don't even really know if there was a video game that was specifically called that.
I don't think so. There's the
No.
Batman Arkham Asylum series. I think that's kind of the video game supplement.
Yeah.
It's probably only a matter of time, though.
I'm kind of shocked they haven't done it yet.
Yeah.
I would love to see them take the look and feel of that game, because I'm familiar with it because I've watched the trailers to it online. And when they reinvent the movie series to maybe go that route, I think that would be really cool.
Because this is supposed to be the last of this series, correct?
Yeah, for sure,
Yeah.
definitely. Because that's what I like about Batman, though, is like he's open to so many different interpretations. Like Spider-Man, you kind of got to stay in a certain slot for it to still like Spider-Man, but Batman, you can go so many different directions.
I haven't seen the new Spider-Man movie, but I was watching the trailer. I was like, I cannot even tell this is a different movie.
Yeah, I thought that too. Why did you do this?
The trailer even seemed to be hitting like all the plot points of the first Tobey Maguire Spider-Man. I'm like,
Are you kidding? Not the same movie. Dennis Leary's in it. Of course it's a different movie.
Sorry.
It's a superior movie.
Like I said, I haven't seen it. Also, full disclosure, I have the worst taste in movies. My favorite Spider-Man is the third one.
Ugh.
Yeah.
Do you know
I
that
don't think I've even seen that.
I use Spider-Man 3 as background noise when I'm writing.
I think I saw that in your blog recently.
Yeah, I wrote about this the other day because it is the type of movie for me that I can just like look up and like look at for 30 seconds and just give my mind a rest. But at no time am I going to get engaged with that film in any way. Just like it's interesting enough to look at as a distraction for a second.
I find that interesting actually because I cannot write if there is like any background noise whatsoever. Like unless like it's a fan blowing or something. Like music I can't do videos I can't. Like if someone is talking in the other room I have to wait for them to stop talking or else I just cannot focus on whatever I'm
like
trying
that
to do.
Too.
Yeah, I'm exactly the same.
I like a little background noise.
Oh.
But I can't do music because I just skip around songs and I spend 2 hours skipping around songs. So
yeah, that happens with me. I'll just be like, no, not this for like 30,000 songs.
Yeah.
And then I'll just find one 2-minute long song, then I'll do it all over again.
I would like you to defend Spider-Man 3.
We've already tried this with Indiana Jones.
I don't think I also like Indiana Jones and the Crystal Skull.
Okay, then I mean,
I think he's understating it. No. The Crystal Skull is his favorite one.
What?
That is a true statement. See, that's the thing, though. I openly acknowledge that the problem is with me. I do not know why I like these movies more than I like the actual good movies. It's just the way it is. It's a problem I face.
We came out of Indiana Jones and the Crystal Skull. It was me, 2 of my friends, and one of their girlfriends, and she loved it. And all 3 of us were like horrified, and we seriously pulled him aside and be like, "Dude, what's wrong with her? Like seriously, like how could she?"
Well, I think with that movie in particular, the problem that I faced there was I didn't see Indiana Jones, any of the original trilogy at all until like a few years leading up to it. So I didn't really, and even when I didn't really make any sort of like personal connection to the films. They were just movies that I happened to be watching at the time. Right. And the fourth one did cool things that I thought were cool.
I mean, it's another one I put on in the background.
Yeah.
But
I enjoyed Shia LaBeouf swinging from the vines. Okay.
No.
I think someone got eaten by a pile of ants at one point. I thought that was great.
But my problem with that movie is that I guess spoilers for anyone that hasn't seen it.
Cares.
But at no time does Indiana Jones ever have to do anything or figure anything out. And it's just like when they're falling.
9 years old. What is he gonna do?
Doesn't matter.
That's part of the problem.
Yeah, that is part of the problem.
Yeah.
And although I don't think his age is the problem, I think that they played him as older. I hated that they married him off. In my opinion, Indiana Jones works best as a timeless character. And I don't mind seeing him older, but he shouldn't necessarily be a different guy, if that makes sense. And I don't think he was that different of a guy in that film, except that he didn't have to do anything. Like for example, when they're falling down those waterfalls, like his big plan was hang on. And I mean,
he came up with a great plan for avoiding the nuclear explosion, right? that was particularly well thought out, I thought.
Of all the things in that film, that actually felt the most like an actual Indiana Jones thing to me, though. It was ludicrous, but it was actually like he figured something out to do. Yes, it shouldn't work, but also if you remember in Raiders of the Lost Ark, he hung on to the side of a submarine for like 300 miles underwater.
Yeah.
So that movie is not innocent either.
I don't know, maybe Indiana Jones is the kind of series that works best, not continued in film, but continued in like a comic book or something, like the Buffy the Vampire series. Even if they wanted to, they could not have continued that because the vampires were very clearly getting older and paunchier.
Yeah.
But in a comic book, you can kind of control that a lot better.
Or perhaps a video game would be the perfect.
Or a video game that would also be appropriate.
Wasn't there an Indiana Jones comic where he met Chewbacca and found the remains of Han Solo?
Yes.
What?
Yes.
I knew I was right about that.
That absolutely did happen.
Can somebody please tell me what this is called? This is important.
I'm gonna You know who will know? I'm gonna put it on Twitter. My brother, or I'll email my brother. I don't know if he'll get back to me right away, but I'll forward it to you. He'll know that for sure.
Okay, that sounds wonderful. Thank you.
Speaking of people getting paunchy, another problem with Spider-Man 3 was Tobey Maguire, who was starting to fill out the Spider-Man suit a bit too much.
Oh,
That's harsh.
I didn't notice that.
Watch it again.
I will say the casting of the guy from that '70s show as Venom was kind of interesting.
Yeah. I like him as an actor, but I mean Venom's supposed to be like a huge guy, like
Yeah.
he's supposed to be like real big and muscular.
And this guy's what, like 4'2", right?
And then
he wasn't very. I don't know if before he gets all venomed, I don't know if he's supposed to be imposing before that, but he certainly was not.
He was just kind of a sleaze bag, whereas the Venom in the comics is kind of a brute.
Right.
Which was kind of weird because he was a photographer, but he was like this big muscle-bound photographer. It was always kind of weird in the comics, but I don't know. I mean, that's what it was, though. It worked. I don't know. But you know what was horrible about Venom also in the movie is the parts where the costume would peel back from his face, you know?
Yeah.
And then it would literally look like it was like magic shell on his face, like patched in places. It was so poorly done. It just
they also don't like he doesn't even become Venom until like the last 10 minutes of the movie, and then they just gets killed right away. Unless I'm remembering this wrong. I know they're kind of building up to it for a while, but I feel like he's only like actually Venom toward the very end. Why am I attacking this movie? This is a masterpiece. I don't know what I'm saying anymore.
I think I found this Indiana Jones thing.
I found something about it on IO9.
Star Wars Tales 19. That's where I am too. IO9. Yeah. Well, there you go.
And I thought he was standing in a panel with Marty McFly, but it was actually Short Round. Just
it looks like Marty McFly.
he was wearing an outfit that looks like Marty McFly, so I thought Paul might go a little crazy for this, but sadly, it is not.
Paul, are you a Back to the Future nut?
I am a huge Back to the Future fan. We actually just finished recording a playthrough of the entire Back to the Future the game for the GameCola YouTube channel not too long ago.
Oh, really?
Yeah, the new one, not the older NES ones, the one that just came out a year or so ago. It's actually really good.
To his credit, I don't think number 3 is his favorite.
It's not actually, no.
I love those movies, first of all. I would count Back to the Future easily in my top 2 or 3 movies of all time. And the first one's probably my favorite, but I love number 2. I love it.
I'm completely with you there. The third one actually kind of loses my interest because they're in that one time frame for the entire movie, and it's not the most interesting to me personally. Not that I don't like the third movie, but
yeah, I loved all the future stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. I assume you've been seeing the memes lately where every day is the day that we went back.
Yeah, and I actually someone who posted it and was like so over enthusiastic about it, I actually hid their updates from that. I don't want to see anything else you say.
I think I've seen it on 3 different days just in the past month, and then that one happened in January too, if I recall. It was clearly 2015. Come on.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
you went 30 years into the future and 30 years into the past.
Yeah.
I photoshopped one recently really poorly, and I put it up. I was like, "Hey guys, look, it's Back to the Future." I don't think anyone got it. I think people thought I was for real. I was like, "No."
Yeah.
Should I have photoshopped it worse?
You see 30 people share it. They're like, "Wow." Oh, life. So I'm going to see Dark Knight Rises. I was supposed to go Saturday night with my girlfriend, but now she can't go. So I'm going Friday morning at 8:45 a.m.
The wonders of working from home.
Yeah, I know. I'm working real hard that day.
I was going to say, what is it? Is it after you make the phone call to Adam?
Oh, actually, I might have to call him on the way there. I don't know. I'm going to get there nice and early. I'm really excited. I love Dark Knight. Dark Knight's one of my favorite movies of all time. I love all Christopher Nolan stuff, so I'm really pumped up for this.
Are you going to be dressing up?
Yeah, I'm dressing up like Spider-Man from Spider-Man 3. I'm gonna put a little throw cushion in my shirt, so I have a little gut. And that's what I'm gonna do. So, do you guys want me to turtle call somebody for you?
I would be so happy if you did that. Actually.
Yeah, that would be pretty awesome. I've got Zach Huffman.
That would be kind of interesting.
Yes.
Uh,
Do it. Let's call Zach.
Okay, let's call Zach.
Okay,
Let's call Zach Huffman.
Everyone mute it up.
Yeah. Okay, here we go.
Zach attack.
Hello?
Is Zach there?
Speaking.
Zach, it's a turtle. What's going on?
Hey, how you doing?
I'm great. How are you doing?
I'm good.
What are you up to right now?
Right now I'm just at home.
You're home? What are you doing?
Nothing at all.
You are just sitting around looking at the wall.
Something like that.
Something like, so maybe you're looking at the floor or the ceiling, not specifically the wall.
Right. There's a flat surface involved.
There is a flat
Of some
surface.
sort.
Maybe like the kitchen counter?
Could be.
Alright, well, when you're done with that, what are you going to do?
Well, if possible, I thought I might head out.
You might head out. Where are you going to go?
It's a good question.
Why don't we meet up somewhere?
Sounds good. What works for you?
I want to go to Applebee's.
Applebee's?
Yes, feeling good in the neighborhood. Right? You
Right,
know
something
it.
like that.
You know you love it there. The great thing about
it's hard not to.
I know. Everyone is so friendly and they have name tags so that when the waiter comes up, you can be like, "Oh, hi Jim, how's it going?" And Jim is like, "How do you know my name?" And you point at him and you go, "Because of your name tag." Right?
And then he feels kind of dumb. But
Yes.
yes, we've all been there.
And then he's like, "Can I get you guys some drinks?" And you're like, I need a second to look at the menu, Jim. Just relax. And then when he
Right.
comes back, you ask for a different waiter. Because Jim, it turns out he's kind of pushy.
He is. No one likes Jim.
No, they should fire Jim. He's terrible.
All right, well, we can go to the Applebee's and tell them to fire Jim.
All right, after we eat our feeling good steaks, do you want to go see The Amazing Spider-Man?
Sure.
All right, it's not a date. It's just two buddies going to
course not.
see a movie about Spider-Man.
Of course.
Yes. Will you pay for my tickets? And also, will you hold my hand? It's
I mean,
not-
obviously I'll hold your hand, but I don't know about the ticket thing.
Yes, I can't wait. It's not a date. I mean, not like you think. It's just, I mean, I'm getting all flustered now. I'm sorry. Let's just forget it, all right? We'll see each other at the grocery store tomorrow.
Okay, fair enough.
Do you have to go to the grocery store tomorrow?
I'm sure I can find an excuse.
Yes, you're going to see me. That's so sweet.
I didn't say that.
A little bit. You feel it, though.
Maybe.
So how's it going looking at that counter?
Pretty good. It's a good counter.
It is. It's really nice. All right. Well, hey, I've got to go because I am going to Applebee's regardless of whether you are coming or not, all right?
All right.
All right. So I'll see you tomorrow at the grocery store.
Sounds good.
We'll buy some apples.
Perfect.
All right. Fuji's. They are my favorite.
Fuji's are good.
My girlfriend loves Fuji apples. I love it.
Oh, well, there you go.
Yes. All right. Goodbye.
All right. Well, all right.
Hello?
Hello.
How did everyone feel about that?
I felt like poor Zach was just trying to figure out a way to get out of the call.
He was trying to figure out how to not go to Applebee's. He committed himself.
I
And he
noticed
fell
that
off.
too.
Very nervous for his date. I'm a little out of practice. I hope that was okay.
Oh, it was good. It was good. I think I'm a little disappointed that Zach didn't really take to it as much as some of your previous callers have. But
He was very busy doing something.
that countertop was very interesting, I guess.
He was very busy.
But, thank you very much for doing that for us, Brian. I appreciate it.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely, anytime. Thanks for having me on, guys. I'm sorry I have to depart, but I gotta go.
It's
You want
all
to plug your website, your book, anything else once again real quick?
Yeah. My website is brian23.com. That's brian23.com, and you can find my Twitter and all that other stuff there. My books, if you guys like sci-fi stuff, go check out my books, the Super Airplane series. It's about a giant airplane the size of the city of Chicago that flies to the moon, which is on fire, and it's piloted by Bruce Willis. So if you like, I'm just guessing that anyone who would listen to this podcast might be interested in something like that.
Yeah.
I think that's a fair assessment also. Yes.
I am.
And they also, let me say, they're cheap. They're only $3.99 a piece for ebooks. And like, if you are an ADD reader like I am, you love it because the chapters are short, the paragraphs are short. And thanks for letting me pitch all that. I realized that was probably more than you were asking for.
No, that's perfectly acceptable. I think you were owed that. Yeah, thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah.
All right, guys, thanks a lot. It was fun.
Yeah.
See you.
Bye.
Well, now that he's gone,
Can we talk about games?
Badly of him.
video games. What?
Do we talk about video games on this podcast?
I think probably more than we have on this podcast.
Actually, I'm gonna say that we should start wrapping up. So we have 2 emails from fans.
Okay. What did they have to say?
Number 1 is from Anna. If you recall, last time we were asked if any of us play Happy Wheels, and we all said, "What is Happy Wheels?" She gave us a link to www.totaljerkface.com/happy_wheels.php. Now,
Are we going to play it right now?
no, I'm not. However, she continues and says, very interestingly, will you ever do a D&D podcast? Oh, yes, you see why I thought this was cool.
Yes.
Or, I just think that'd be so cool. And I might actually get a few of my friends to listen because they play. Bye. So, we've talked about this before, Paul. Doing a D&D pod. Today I bought a set of dice.
Really?
Yeah.
So it sounds like you're set to host the second podcast then.
Second.
The D&D one. The D&D one.
Oh,
It sounds like you're set.
hosting 2 podcasts?
The latest update on the possibility of a D&D podcast is that I have floated the idea to Nathaniel Hoover because he is an experienced DM and an experienced podcaster, so it seems like a natural fit.
Yeah.
He seemed interested in it. I do not know yet if/when we'll be moving forward on it. I'm just going to keep pitching it to people until someone actually does it, because I think the idea, while perhaps about as related to video games as this entire podcast, I think there's still a lot of potential for fun in there, as Anna seemed to indicate as well.
Yeah. Also, I guess I could say there are other systems that we could use, which might, I don't know, we could do a GameCola RPG about GameCola.
That's something else, isn't it? The Legend of the Seven Beards.
That's a video game.
Wait. We could make the D&D campaign that, and then we could base the video game on that. We'd already have the storyline all built.
That's true, actually. I've known people
This could be the starting off point.
who have done that kind of thing.
I have a friend who was just telling me that she's writing a fantasy novel right now that's based in part on a recent D&D campaign she was a part of.
Yeah.
Apparently it's not impossible.
Yeah. Well, what was it? If you've ever heard of Record of Lodoss War? Probably not.
I have.
Okay.
Yeah.
Apparently that, which is like a major series over in Japan, anime and manga and etc., video games, all of the above, started out as a D&D campaign that they serialized in some magazine.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, it's been done before.
I've never ever played D&D. I'll take part if you can teach me. Because that dude Spoonie did a load of D&D stuff, and it was interesting, but I still didn't understand it.
Yeah.
I don't think I wouldn't say it's very difficult to get into, especially if you have someone who understands that you are new to it and can kind of hold your hand through the beginning part of it. I played a couple campaigns while I was in college, and I had a complete blast. We'd get together every Monday night, order some pizza or Chinese food, and just kind of roll the dice and see what happened. It was a lot of fun.
Oh man.
Wow.
We'll all be individually ordering. Can we agree? Okay, everyone's going to order pizza this week.
And can
we could all track each other's. We could all track each other's pizzas on Domino's.
If you
Matt, yours is almost there.
Yes.
So that's where it stands right now. I pitched it to Nathaniel. He seemed receptive. Not sure if it's going to happen, but I'm going to keep pitching it until someone does it.
Yeah.
That's the final word.
Hey, we have another email here from Julia, who emailed us on the last podcast as well. Hello again, podcast personnel. Thanks for answering my question in the last podcast. I think it is really cool that you guys do that. I believe the other website groups who do not answer their fans are truly missing out. Oh, by the way, my excuse for poor grammar is that this past year I have been an exchange student. In the process of learning Danish, my English grammar has most definitely taken a turn for the unfortunate. I can't think of another good question for you guys, and I really don't want to ask you about Obama plus cookies and or unicorns. If I think of a good question, I'll ask. Smiley face. Thanks again, Julia. P.S. I don't know what part of New Hampshire Christian Porter is from, but I'm also from New Hampshire, and we do have African-American people here.
I'm in Manchester, so probably the biggest city in New Hampshire. It is a very small amount compared to other states, though. If you listen to Wikipedia, we usually get made fun of for that.
So, is it that time, Jetty?
I do believe that it is, Mr. Paul Franzen.
All right. Hey, I get to do housekeeping this time, don't I? It's been a little while.
Yeah.
All right. Just real quick, a little bit of housekeeping for everyone. I want everyone right now to follow us on Twitter if you have a Twitter account. If not, register one, then just follow us. We are at GameCola. Also, check us out on Facebook. Just search for GameCola on there because I don't know if I got on the train for registering a good username in time. YouTube, we have a YouTube channel. It's the gc.net, the letters GC, the word dot, and the word net.
Hey, I'm usually the one who says that.
I'm so sorry. Would you like to continue with what else we got?
I don't know. What else do we have?
If you're listening to this on YouTube or on the website, we also are available on iTunes. So I would implore you to subscribe to us there, rate us really high, leave a nice comment. If you don't like the podcast, we don't have an iTunes thing, so don't worry about it. If you'd like to email us a letter like Julia and Anna did today, our email address is podcast@gamecola.net. And finally, we have an actual internet website, gamecola.net. None of you YouTube people are going there, and I really wish you would. It would make me happy.
Yes. So that was the podcast for today, podcast number 52, with special guest star Brian Spaeth from Turtlecalls. Yeah. Also with me was Paul Franzen, Christian Porter, and Matt Jonas. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Jetty.
You're welcome.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah. Goodbye, everyone.
Bye.
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 Oh, sorry.
Follow us on Twitter at GameCola. That is one word. Find us on Facebook. Just search GameCola. Check out our YouTube channel, gc.net. The dot is a word. Subscribe to us on iTunes and review us and rate us highly. And if you want, send us a question. Email us at podcast@gamecola.net. GameCola.net.
That was beautiful.
That was wonderful.
That was incredible.
I didn't find a way to make the last one work.
Just remove my whole thing and paste that in.
I thought I was going to put this at the end.
Oh.
What do you
Well, now you've told people that this stuff is at the end.